we'll figure this stuff out here. Okay, so that has got just a touch of flux on it. We're gonna see if I can do this one-handed. Give a little bit more here. Let's see. I got this stupid little bottle thinking it was gonna make life easier and squirt out right where I wanted the flux, and it's just borax. That's all flux is. A little bit of borax. But that stupid bottle, I don't know. I may have to cut the tip off. It's a good idea, and it does kind of put it right where I want it, but it kind of clogs a little bit, so we'll figure it out. Anyway, back into the fire she goes. Okay, so I've kind of rigged something here. We'll see how long it stays and how well it works. It's one of those indestructible cases I've got on the phone, so if it does fall, sorry for the bouncy, take your Dramamine and we'll get back to it, but hopefully it'll stay right there. Earlier I fluxed it. Now when you take the flux, all that flux does is, and it's F-L-U-X, don't get excited, it is, what it does is it forms a primitive glass layer as it melts. It gets into all the nooks and crannies where oxygen might get in and get through in order to, oxidize the metal. If the metal oxidizes at these temperatures, it won't form a proper bond. Just what it does is it forms kind of like a scale, and that scale will weld together, but the metal itself, it doesn't actually fuse. And so we put flux on high carbon steels in particular. Mild steel, you can kind of get away with it. Wrought iron, you don't have to have it. It's not magic glue. It's not going to make the weld take or not. Heat is what takes the weld, and a little bit of pressure, but heat. If it doesn't want to stick in the fire, it's not going to matter how hard I hit it out here. It's not going to stick. The secret to forge weld is just light, quick, rapid blows. And it's got to be up to temp. The temperature range that we're talking is the upper levels for these metals. My metal is 1085 and 15N20, or 15 nickel 20, however you want to say it. It's 5 layers on these micro billets. And once I get these micro billets made the way I want, I'm going to take the 3 pieces and weld them all together, make a good sized billet. And hopefully that'll give me enough metal for the project I'm working on. Anyways, like I say, that temperature range, for those curious about it, has a tendency to be between 2,700 degrees and 3,000 degrees. And the way to look at it and see it by color when you're looking at this, and don't ever look directly into the fire continuously, it will burn your eyeballs out. But you can take a peek and kind of look in just a little bit and look away. But what it looks like is it's a high yellow color, almost white. It's referred to as white heat or welding heat. And what it is it's like a stick of butter in the microwave or in the oven, where it gets that kind of greasy look and feel, and then it just melts and goes everywhere. But anyways, here we go. We're almost at temperature. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The center of that was at temp. The outside edge, not so much. And that's that. So what I'll do with the remaining heat is I will grab a brush. I'll come in and brush off the old flux and scales, make sure it's good and clean, or as clean as I can get it. Okay, so it's probably still too hot, you can't really see it, but it did kind of set a weld in the center. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to reflux and reheat and go back to it again. So you bad thing. I just saw where my weld pattern on this is going to be different on this one versus the others. I got two of my 1084 pieces right back to back instead of having a piece of 15 and 20 between them. Man, oh well. It'll be okay once I get it all put together. So the 1084, when you acid etch it, it comes off as like a gray or a darker color. The 15 nickel 20, that stuff, the acid really doesn't hit it. It doesn't bite into it, and it shines like silver or nickel. The nickel is acid resistant, so it doesn't etch as hard. Whereas it will darken, and that's how you get your patterns, is the different layers and how you manipulate those layers through the billet. Ideally, you want your high carbon pieces on the outside, a piece of nickel bearing stuff, or silver, or stainless steel, chrome. You know, it's real hard to weld stainless, but that stuff is easy to come by. And then more layers of high carbon in a center layer or two, you know, whatever. However many layers you do, and you alternate them, is what I'm getting at. All over the place here. Middle and back half are now set, and we just need to work over that front bit. The last forge welding stuff you guys saw me do was monstrously huge. This stuff's, I guess it's kind of normal for folks, but I've only ever forge welded on real big stuff, so real big stuff, it absorbs heat. It takes a while to heat up, but once it heats up, it holds that heat, so you have a greater window of opportunity to get your weld to set. So if you're just getting started, my advice as far as practicing forge welds, don't do anything smaller than, 5/8, ½ inch. Don't do anything smaller than ½ inch, and you should have enough metal there to give you a good window to practice with. So let's see, that's kind of cooled down. Get close enough here. You can kind of see that glistening on the surface there. That's that primitive glass layer. It's a real fragile glass layer. It's not properly glass, but it's borax is one of the chemicals that makes up glass. Olden days they used what they called white sand for flux. Yeah, I guess you could describe borax as white sand. But all the old texts say white sand. Borax is pretty similar. Since I don't live on the beach and I live in the Iron Mountains here in Virginia, Blue Ridge, I'm 45 minutes from the West Virginia border and 45 minutes from the Blue Ridge Parkway. Either way, I kind of center in that valley there. In the Roanoke Valley, New River is right in my area. You know, New River Gorge is just up the road from us a little bit. But that's where we're at. Giles County was actually one of the areas they settled it for the iron deposits. Montgomery County, they settled primarily for the anthracite coal deposits. So between the two, you know, they had a real good thing going on there, you know. But at least as far as the builders of civilization, blacksmiths, are concerned, it was a real good thing. Now, as a kid, I moved everywhere. I mean, all over the place. West Coast, East Coast, North, South, you know, everywhere. Central, you know. I was everywhere. No, Dad was not military. He worked for AC Nielsen television ratings, installing the black boxes, and after that, he, you know, that moved us about 15 times before 3rd grade. Once I got into 3rd grade, we got rid of AC Nielsen's, and he started working for Papa John's Pizza, opening new restaurants in the Ohio River Valley. Kentucky, Evansville, Indiana, that area, Owensboro. He opened the Henderson store, the Owensboro store, and 1 or 2 of the Evansville stores. So that is a solid piece. You can still see the layers. Well, you can't because that stupid thing doesn't have an IR setting on it. But as it cools down here, I'll let it cool down a little bit and chat at you. As it actually cools down, you'll be able to see that there's actually different layers in there. The idea behind forge welding is you do it and you dress it, and as you work it in, it actually works deeper, so it becomes one piece of steel. Because all I'm working with is steel in this billet. I do have a billet that I'm working on that has wrought iron in it, but that's for a special private project. And one of my brothers might get one of my adoptees that I call a brother might actually get a piece of that, because that's a really cool thing to have, is a piece that's actually got wrought iron in it. Wrought iron is no longer produced in our country, so we have to scavenge it. Let's see, can you see those layers now? Can you hear me now? You can kind of see them there, but you kind of get the gist. Next forge pass, I'll actually drive that further in on itself, and what that's doing is it's just solidifying it, making it all one solid piece, and then I can work on the edge a little bit in the next heat and make sure it's all about the same thickness, and then we'll square it up and twist it and call it quits for this one. And I'm going to do most of this with the hand hammer. I know some of you haven't seen me really use the pedal much. Truth is, this was my hammer for 15 years. This was my modus operandi for 15 years. I am very, very used to swinging a hand hammer, getting the job done just with a hand hammer. It wasn't until about a year ago I purchased a helper. It's more of an Oliver or a drawing out hammer than a true treadle hammer. It's got some stuff that I can modify to it and make it more of a productive tool for me, and eventually that'll happen. I'm not in a big rush because, well, you know, honestly, I don't have much use for it aside from setting my touch mark. It's real handy for that. But you know, for the longest time, all I had was hammers and my own arm. So I learned how to do this, how to make it work properly without killing myself. You know, I'm 37. I know, I'm just a baby for most of the people in my craft, but I do have 20 years of doing this now. I started when I was 16. I've been just podunking around with it. When I got married, it became more of a serious thing for me. So August 4th, I'll have been married for 17 years. 17 years. And out of that, we have 16 in this shop in the home that we're in here. And during all of that, I've had a forge. It hasn't been my sole source of income like it is now, but and that's only been about 3 months. But it has been a hardcore hobby of mine, and even more, it's been a passion of mine for that whole time plus. So that's a little bit of history on Josh. You know. Everybody always wants to know, hey Josh, what got you started in this? Well, I read a fantasy novel that my father handed to me, and the main character in that book actually wound up making a sword using a volcano and some meteorite steel to produce a weapon. You know, obviously, me, a junior, I think, at that time in high school, full and cocky of myself, I said, "Bull crap, Dad, I don't believe it. I don't think it's a possibility of anybody ever doing it." Well, my dad said, "Yeah, it is. Go do some research, boy." So I went to the library, looked up in the card catalog, because internet wasn't really a thing then, and found some books on it. Brought the books home. Lo and behold, yes, it's not comfortable. You have to have the right circumstances and the right PPE, but you can do that. So I had to eat some crow. But in doing that, I also discovered some primitive forge technology, and got the go-ahead from my dad to say, "Hey, can I play with this in the backyard?" And well, he wasn't super enthusiastic about it, but he did let me, dig a pit in the backyard and make a forge. So I did that, and I heated up a piece of black iron pipe, made a katana shape out of it. I was super proud of it. I knew this thing was going to be the bee's knees. I went out and, took my really crappy katana and broke it right up against a peach tree, which, if any of you know, that's a fruit wood, and it's actually really, really soft wood. And, I'm not really sure to this day what I did to that metal to make it that bad, but, man, it snapped. Bent, wrapped around the tree, I guess is more of an appropriate term, but did not do anything except bruise the tree's bark a little bit. You have to forgive me, I kind of forget that I have a camera on me when I'm hammering. Unless I'm running my mouth, I forget about it. And I just get down to business. I think one more heat, and one more high heat. I'll switch out hammers to a bigger hammer. That'll do, pig, that'll do. Okay, so now that I've got this kind of trued up and squared up, what I'm going to do is take one final welding heat over the whole thing, tap it, tap it, tap it, tap it, tap it, tap it, put it back in the fire, bring it back up to that welding heat, and twist. this is my stress relieving project for the week, so, you know, if it craps, it craps. I'm not really worrying about it. I will have to use this metal in a project eventually, but, you know, it doesn't have to be done this second, so. Oh yeah. That's awesome. Okay, time to jigger. It's not real bad. You can see the vise here, so yeah, maybe you might be able to see this, I hope. Those of you who watched Alex Steele do something real similar to this recently, this has no bearing on that. I was going to do it before regardless. Also, I don't twist it near as much as he does. So I don't know. The smaller the twist, the tighter the twist, the more times it crosses, it's awesome, but it makes it real daggum hard to see the pattern. Oh, make it pass there, please. Yep, you did. Awesome. One. Two. I might take this to 5. Maybe. We'll see. But you can really see right there that, well, it's got scale on it, you dummy. Still has scale on it, but you can kind of see. So what this does is it also lets you know whether your weld's took or not, because they'll open in a heartbeat when you twist it. So far so good, buddy. So far so good. There you can see the Anvil again. So that bad boy is actually up at welding heat right there. See it just kind of sparking just a touch. So that this like butter, baby, hot knife through butter. 3. And we're going to stop at 4 because that's pretty daggum tight. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take it back up to welding heat and just square it. So, yeah. Be right back. So what that has done, you can kind of see the ridges there. Okay, so each twist on there is the layers going up and through there. So it'll be interesting for sure. Round in those corners now, so you kind of make it octagonal instead of square. I think that'll do better on the forge weld and have less inclusions. It's cold. All I'm going to do now is make it straight, screw it up, then I'm going to call it quits for the video tonight. And hopefully what I'll do before I get back to you guys is I'll actually have these other two billets brought out to the same stage. Nice and straight. We're going to set you aside. to work with tongs. Y'all have fun now. Bye. Okay, so I got all 3 of them done up and rounded up. Yeah, there's a little bit of delam on a few places there. So I'll call it an evening since it's after 9 now. It's probably after 9:30 even. If I don't get my butt in bed, I won't be good to get down here before noon tomorrow. So anyway, good night, fire. Thank you for the work. Good night, hammers. Thank you for the work. Alrighty. Y'all have fun now. Catch you on the flip side. Bye.